Her father had once said, "The dragon gods of Dragon Island may be an unapproachable divine race, but they have granted human wishes before." With that thought, the girl clasped her hands and prayed earnestly, "Please, please help me. I want my father to come back, and I hope you can protect me just like he did." Suddenly, hearing the sound of someone mumbling a prayer, the little dragon let out a long yawn, stretched, and sat up to see what was going on. Unaware of the little dragon's presence, the girl continued her heartfelt plea, And one more thing. Please, take away my divine power." As she spoke, she slowly opened her eyes, just in time to see the little dragon standing right in front of her, staring. 20 years later, in a certain forest, as the group forged ahead, someone suddenly snapped, "How much longer?" Another person replied, "We've still got time. The old lord is currently in his territory." The first man clicked his tongue in annoyance and grumbled, "This unlucky woman, even getting married is such a hassle." Although she overheard everything they said, the girl remained silent, her mind replaying her sister's words. "Don't worry, my dear sister. The old lord might be a bit old and ugly, but he'll be very generous to you. He already has 7 wives, yet he doesn't mind making you his 8th. Isn't that lucky for you?" Then she recalled her mother's attitude that day. The moment she saw her, she had rushed to her side, calling out, "Mother, I need to talk to you." But before she could finish, her mother shoved her hand away, leaving her stunned and staring. The woman's eyes were ice cold as she advised her, "We worked hard to get these things. You had better appreciate it." With that, she calmly walked away. But before she got far, Serafina cried out in anguish, "But I'm only 17 and he's 50. Hearing this, her father spun around and roared, "Shut your mouth! What right do you have to say that? You're nothing but a troublemaker." It seems a good lesson is in order. Just as he was about to slap her across the face, her mother suddenly and kindly stopped him. "Allow me to remind you," she said sternly, "that this face is our key to selling her at a high price. It's very valuable. We leave tomorrow. If she doesn't want to go, just tie her up and throw her in the carriage." Serafina lowered her head, replying miserably, "There's no need. I'll go on my own." As she drowned in her sorrow, a flame of hatred ignited within her. The black-haired maid saw this and shrieked in terror. Another servant, his face pale with fear, gasped, "Are you kidding me? I don't want to die here," and immediately opened the door to flee. Serafina muttered a hateful curse. "Just die. Burn in your own flames, you witch with your evil fire. You should have died here." Suddenly, a ferocious-looking white dragon appeared in the sky, flying straight towards them. All the servants escorting Serafina screamed in terror, A dragon god, it's a dragon god, run, run!" She stared, bewildered, thinking, "What? Why is there a dragon here? I have to get out of here. It's locked." They were afraid I'd run away during the wedding and they'd lose a lot of money. That's right, the fire. Just as she prepared to use her power to break the lock, she sensed something. She whipped her head around and was shocked to see the dragon god's enormous eye staring at her through the window. The dragon god's voice boomed, "My bride." Serafina didn't answer, frozen in place. Whose bride? What is it talking about? While she was still trying to process what was happening, it shattered the glass and used magic to teleport her outside. Seeing this, she quickly bowed her head, as tears of grief welled up in her eyes. Remembering the cruel words the other children in her house used to say, she whispered back, "But this is mine." The brown-haired boy immediately got in her face. His brow furrowed as he asked harshly, "So what? What if it's yours? You only got into our house because your lowly mother climbed into bed with our father. Your blood is pathetic." Then the whole group started gleefully running around her, chanting, "Little slave, little slave, little slave!" The dragon god, hidden nearby, thought with a hint of disappointment, "What boring bullying tactics. It seems no one in this family has divine power either, or she would have used it. Time to go." Just then, seeing the dragon god spreading its wings to leave, the brown-haired boy thought with some surprise, "What's a bird doing here?" A cruel grin spread across his face. He quickly picked up a stone and threw it hard at the dragon god, then cheered, "Nice shot!" The unexpected attack stunned the dragon god. "Why can't I move my body? Could this be a restriction stone made by an archmage?" Just as it thought it was going to plummet to the ground, a pair of slender hands reached out and rushed to catch it. Realizing it was safe, the dragon god quickly opened its eyes. The sight of its large, bright, gem-like eyes made Serafina gasp in admiration. "Your eyes are so beautiful." Hearing this, the dragon god's cheeks flushed red with embarrassment. The brown-haired boy saw this and sneered, "Oh, having fun, are we?" Her sister chimed in, "You can't even take care of yourself, and now you're worrying about something else." "Jun, I have a great idea. If anything happens, we'll just blame her." With that, she pulled out a knife from nowhere, held it close to Serafina's face, and demanded menacingly, "Here, you cut this little creature's tail off." Tears streamed down her face as she frantically refused. Seeing her dare to defy her, the sister grabbed her hair and said coldly, "I can't expect anything from a slave like you." She then violently pulled her hair before letting go, causing Serafina to stumble and fall to the ground. Without a single cry or complaint, Serafina quickly reached for the dragon god and thought with crushing self-blame, it happened again. I can't even protect a tiny life like this. What am I even living for? Please, someone tell me. Suddenly, a dense black aura began to radiate from Serafina's body, causing the children to scream in terror. What is that? It's a curse! Run, run! As the memory faded, Serafina slowly opened her eyes, only to find herself lying next to a handsome man with platinum blonde hair. And to her shock, the man was shirtless. The young man's voice was calm. "You're awake?" She didn't answer, her face blushing as she looked at him, thinking, what's going on? Who is he? Wait a minute, those gem-like blue eyes, that long silver hair. He looks just like the dragon that captured me today. He's from the dragon clan. Outside the mansion, it was a beautiful, sunny day. Inside the dragon god's room, an orange cat stood by a fish tank, silently watching the fish swim. Nearby, the dragon god and Serafina were embracing, their eyes locked. As she tried to pull away, her face paled with panic. I have to escape. No, wait, this is the dragon clan's territory? Are there even any people here? He suddenly used his tongue to gently lick the corner of her eye and said, "Don't go." She was terrified. "I'm going to be eaten." And with that, she promptly fainted. Noticing that Serafina had stopped resisting, he quickly guessed, did she pass out? He gazed at her for a moment, then gently licked the corner of her eye again, before thinking, human tears don't have much of a taste. They're worse than the sea tribes, at least their tears can turn into pearls. But I like her a lot, so I'll forgive this flaw. With that, he leaned in close to Serafina's neck and took a deep breath. She smells so good. When she wakes up, I'll tell her my name. Then I'll confess that I'm Eric and I really like her. Her cheeks will turn as red as a ripe tomato and she'll shyly reply, "Eric, I really like you too." Then we'll naturally get married. Startled by a knock on the door, Eric shot an annoyed glare at the blonde-haired man outside. The man looked a bit embarrassed and said, "Sorry to bother you." "If you have something to say, just say it," Eric demanded irritably. Anthony frowned, sighing in exasperation. "You damn brute, why aren't you wearing any clothes?" Eric replied nonchalantly, "I'm a dragon. Dragons don't need clothes." "But you just captured a human, didn't you?" Anthony reminded him. "Humans care a lot about etiquette. You should at least be like the rest of us and adorn yourself with fine clothes and jewelry, right?" "That's not exactly what's important," he shot back. "The demon clan is attacking again." Eric said nothing, just frowned at him for a moment, before suddenly drawing his sword and raising it high. Anthony froze, staring at him. With a powerful swing, Eric shouted, "To battle!" With that, he quickly led his 500 soldiers to confront the demon clan. Eric calmly raised a hand and yelled, "All troops, prepare!" Then clenched his fist and unleashed his power against the demon clan. That evening, Serafina gazed out the window and muttered, "That dragon has been gone all day. This might be a good time, while he's not here." Just then, Eric suddenly returned. "You're awake?" he asked with concern. He leaned against the door, watching her for a moment, before slowly walking toward her. He stepped onto the bed, gently lifted her chin and commanded, "Say you love me." The servants poured water over Serafina, sneering contemptuously, "Wash her clean for me. The stench on her has filthied the entire palace. Lock her up, this dirty witch." She remained silent, thinking sadly. After the disaster at the temple, I was imprisoned for a long time. When I was quiet, there were whippings and insults. When I wasn't, there were their terrified screams as they ran away. Just then, Eric's voice broke through her thoughts. Human, what are you thinking?" It jolted Serafina back to the present. She stared at Eric, stunned, thinking, what? What did he just say? I think it was love me. Love? What is this dragon clan member talking about? How am I supposed to answer? If I say the wrong thing, will I be eaten? Seeing her silence, Eric suggested, "Right, let's go get something to eat first." She managed to say, still dazed. He didn't reply, simply pulling her along with him. As they walked, she couldn't help but feel a sense of disbelief. He really wants to take me to eat. During that time I was locked up. No one ever thought about whether I needed to eat or drink. The gnawing hunger and the discomfort all over my body became so unbearable that I burned through the lock and rushed to the kitchen. The chef on duty didn't recognize me. He just thought I was some random child who had wandered into the palace. That was the best meal I had ever had. Maybe this person in front of me isn't as scary as I thought. Seeing Eric suddenly touch the raw meat in front of them confused Serafina. Then he held the piece of meat out to her and asked, "Eat this. It's delicious." The moment she saw the meat, her face darkened in shock. "It's raw meat." Seeing him raise his hand and lick it, then casually say, left her horrified. No, it's not. Human flesh, is it? Is he trying to threaten me? I was so stupid to expect a savage monster to be gentle. With that thought, Serafina suddenly suggested, "Can I make some food myself?" Then she thought dejectedly, "At least I can eat some human food before I die." She stumbled into the kitchen, tears welling in her eyes as she trembled and thought, "Stay strong, Serafina." Seeing her like this, Eric came over and wrapped his arms around her, asking softly, "You're shaking. Are you scared?" Serafina's heart was pounding with fear. Her face was ashen as she thought, "This is terrifying. I really want to run away." Just then, Eric pressed his face against her neck and inhaled deeply, causing her to let out a small, Then she hesitated, thinking, but an image of herself flashed in her mind, sitting alone under a tree, hugging her favorite doll and gazing at the distant sky. Noticing the slight change in Serafina, Eric quickly thought, "She's not shaking anymore. But what is she really afraid of? Oh well, it's probably because I'm here." A short while later, once the food was ready, Serafina quickly brought it out and placed it on the table, mumbling, It's ready." No matter how delicious and enticing the dish looked, he only glanced at it, before turning to stare at her. She saw this and wondered, why is he still sitting here? Does he want to try what I made? Seeing him suddenly reach for the dish, she was surprised, with his hands? She rushed to his side and shouted, "Wait!" But she carelessly bumped into the edge of the table and tumbled right onto him. She broke out in a cold sweat, thinking frantically, "What have I done?" She quickly grabbed his hand, then pulled hers back, thinking with determination, "I don't care anymore." With that, Serafina slowly picked up the spoon and gently offered, "You have to use a spoon to eat. Please, open your mouth." Eric's eyes widened in surprise for a moment. Then he quickly opened his mouth and ate what she had just fed him, slowly swallowing. "So, how is it?" Serafina asked expectantly. He thought for a moment, then casually wiped his lips with his hand and replied with a faint smile, It's delicious." Surprised, she looked at him for a moment, then scooped up another spoonful and asked softly, "Do you want some more?" Without a moment's hesitation, he replied, A while later, holding the empty pot, Serafina thought with a hint of disappointment, "I clearly cooked a full pot, but I didn't get to eat a single bite." Just then, Eric suddenly ran over and hugged her. "Is it all gone?" he asked. She replied shyly, "Yes. I'm going to wash the dishes, please let go." He immediately held her in place and said seriously, "Don't worry about that first. Right now you should be saying, 'I love you too.'" "What?" she asked, startled. He calmly continued, "No, I should say it first, 'I love you,' and then you say, 'I love you too.'" Hearing this, she couldn't help but think, what is this dragon talking about? He gently touched her face and confessed seriously, "I love you, human." She heard this and thought it was ridiculous. "Love? Don't be so absurd." Immediately after, her body erupted in dark flames, startling him and causing him to quickly raise his hands to shield his face. Outside, the castle's magical wards activated one after another. Anthony rushed in with a surprised look on his face to find Eric. "What's going on? Why did the castle's magical wards suddenly activate?" But the sight before him left him stunned. Eric sat dazedly looking at Serafina, his legs covered in soot. Serafina was kneeling at his feet, looking utterly miserable. Witnessing this scene infuriated Anthony. He went to Eric's side and looked at Serafina with a grave expression. "Is this her divine power? She still can't control this power? Your soul was originally—" At that moment, Eric cut him off. "That's enough." Then, without another word, Eric silently walked past Serafina. She sat on the floor, her white dress stained, looking heartbroken and desperate. "This time, I'm definitely getting a death sentence," she thought in despair. In a flash, images of people cursing her appeared in her mind. Which of the evil flames? Cursed one! Just as she was despairing, Anthony suddenly spoke up. "You should go find him. That's what all the books he reads say." Serafina turned to look at him with a bewildered expression. Anthony smiled cryptically. He couldn't understand why Eric, the sole heir of the Dragon Clan, had insisted on bringing her here despite the opposition of his people. At Anthony's prompting, Serafina seemed to start realizing something. She forced herself up and told herself, "That's right. Compared to blaming myself and overthinking, I have no other choice right now. I can only act." With that thought, Serafina hurried off. Watching her retreating figure, Anthony smiled faintly. "Congratulations on becoming the Dragon Clan's new bride." Serafina's pace quickened as she rushed down the stairs, accidentally passing a portrait of Eric. She immediately glanced at it with a thoughtful expression. Anthony's words from earlier echoed in her mind. "He genuinely likes you and wants to marry you. Just say, 'I love you.' Once you say it, he'll give you everything." Thinking about this, Seraphina's face was filled with uncertainty. She wondered, why? Why does he like me? This love is so strange and incomprehensible, it gives me no reason to believe it. After a while of searching, Seraphina finally found Eric. He was curled up on a windowsill, gazing into the distance. I feel like I want to eat you right now, Eric muttered. Hearing these words, Seraphina couldn't help but feel scared. Eric suddenly frowned, scolding angrily. I left, so you should have come looking for me immediately, not wasted time talking nonsense with Anthony. Seeing this, Seraphina became even more frightened. She tried to explain, His Highness was just telling me about you. At that, Eric quickly calmed down. Come here, he called softly. Seraphina slowly walked over to Eric. He gently pulled her into an embrace, her face pressed against his chest. If you want to know anything about me, Eric whispered, you can just ask me directly. After reminding her, Eric suggested, all right, sleep with me for a little longer. I'm sleepy. The next morning, Eric was sleeping soundly in bed, his silver white hair spread out, looking quite comfortable after a long night. Seraphina was also sleeping beside him. At some point, she had woken up and was just staring at Eric. She gently touched his sleeping face, thinking, Eric, you're the first person who has dared to come near me even after being burned by the black fire. A strange feeling filled her heart, and she drifted back to sleep beside him. This time, it was Eric who opened his eyes to look at Seraphina. She was still lying there, her eyes closed, looking fast asleep. Eric continued to watch her intently. She's sleeping so soundly. Then Eric noticed the dress Seraphina was wearing. This tattered piece of clothing isn't comfortable to hold at all. He lifted the fabric and looked at it with disdain. This seems to be the dress she was supposed to marry someone else in. Just then, Seraphina accidentally turned over, revealing even more of her torn dress. Eric stared at her and silently decided, I have to change this quickly. Oh God, what are you planning to do? Undress someone in their sleep? A moment later, Seraphina was suddenly awakened by someone's actions, her eyes groggy and a little confused. Eric's hand touched her shoulder, making her feel a strange, ticklish sensation. She groggily opened her eyes. Seeing this, Eric calmly held up Seraphina's bra and said, Ah, you're awake. Good timing. I don't know what to do with this. Their position at this moment was a bit awkward. Eric was kneeling over Seraphina, who was lying on the bed, looking at him with a confused expression. As Seraphina finally shook off her sleepiness, she gave an embarrassed smile. I'm so sorry, I fell asleep. As she spoke, the dress on her body unexpectedly slipped off, falling away as she stared in shock. It was only then that Seraphina realized, and her face turned bright red. Ah, why am I completely naked? Seraphina looked down, utterly ashamed, and asked, Excuse me, where are my clothes? Eric shrugged and replied with extreme nonchalance, It was in the way, so I ripped it. Then he looked at the bra in his hand with a puzzled expression. How in the world do you wear this thing? Seeing this, Seraphina became even more embarrassed, her face burning. She quickly snatched the garment. Give that back to me. But in that moment, Seraphina accidentally fell right into Eric's arms. He looked at her with an affectionate and satisfied expression. This is my underwear, Seraphina said, blushing. Hearing that, Eric finally understood why her face had been so red. He pulled Seraphina into his arms, looked at her with a mesmerizing gaze, and asked, I know. So how should I put it on? Just as things were getting intense, Anthony shouted from outside the door. Eric, are you in there? I'm counting to 3 and then I'm coming in. A barrage of knocks followed, making Eric's face darken with annoyance. Anthony's voice came through, rushed. 2, 1. The moment Anthony stopped, Eric shot out like the wind, leaving Seraphina bewildered. A hole appeared in the door, followed by Anthony's terrified scream. What are you doing? It seems you don't need this mouth of yours anymore, Eric said coldly. Anthony yelled, I just wanted to call you for breakfast. Rhodey, why aren't you helping? Rhodey said in a panic. No way, I don't want to die. While Anthony pleaded desperately, Don't hit my face. Seraphina watched their chaotic scene and couldn't help but think of one thing. Is he fighting with his guards? I should use this chance to run. As she was running, Seraphina saw a tiny spirit floating in front of her. Greetings, beautiful lady, the spirit said. A spirit? Seraphina asked in astonishment. The small spirit smiled brightly and introduced itself. I am Pip, His Highness Anthony's companion. Seraphina covered her mouth in surprise. This is the first time I've ever seen a spirit. It's just like in my father's books. The small spirit smiled warmly. To have your admiration is an honor. I think His Highness Eric will give you whatever you desire. What do you want most right now? Seraphina felt as if she had fallen into a dark space. What do I want most? She asked herself. Then she answered her own question. I want to go home. But is there anyone waiting for me to return? In any case, she decided not to run away and returned to her room to get dressed. A short while later, Seraphina, now in a gorgeous gown, walked confidently. Thank you for helping with my hair, she told the small spirit. Where are we going? The spirit replied, I'm taking you to dine. The new chef has already prepared the meal. In the dining hall, Eric was listening to Anthony complain. Sometimes I feel like in your eyes, we're no different from the enemy. You'd snap our spines, all of us, and chew us up. Rhodey, sitting beside them, chimed in, What about that human? At that moment, Serafina was peeking out from around a corner, her expression a mix of curiosity and slight confusion. The moment Rhodey saw her, he smiled and waved. Oh, speak of the devil, and she appears. Serafina shyly stepped out, looking incredibly beautiful in her new dress. The sight left Eric staring at her, mesmerized. He quickly took her hand and pulled her into his arms, whispering, You look beautiful. I'm hungry. I want to eat what you made. Hearing that, Serafina replied in a fluster, I'll go right away. Seeing this, Anthony said in exasperation, Even if you cram some etiquette lessons, you're still too crude. Rhodey added, You're scaring the human. Eric glared at Rhodey and asked threateningly, Do you want a beating too? Rhodey coughed fearfully and cried out, Master, please spare me. Anthony just chuckled from the side. Ha ha. Then suddenly Eric stood up straight, his gaze resolute and cold. He announced, All right, listen up. The giant tribe should be quiet for a while. I declare that I will hold a wedding ceremony with the human. The moment she heard those words, Serafina was completely taken aback. After a moment of silence, Anthony spoke up. So, tell us how you feel. You've already consummated with her, haven't you? Seeing Rhodey stare at him in surprise, Anthony quickly warned, Don't spit on me. Then he asked again, What does it feel like to be with a human? What's it like? Eric turned to him with a serious expression and asked, What is consummation? Eric looked at Anthony and Rhodey, his calm expression leaving them both dumbfounded. Rhodey, exasperated, immediately asked, Huh? You don't know? You went through all the trouble of capturing her and planned to marry her, but you don't even know what that is? Do you really believe him? Just then, Serafina walked in carrying a tray of food. I'm done, she said shyly. Here's your food. Eric looked at Serafina with a tender gaze. You have to feed me, just like yesterday. Hearing this, Serafina looked at Eric with a very flustered expression. Witnessing the scene, Rhodey and Anthony openly disapproved. They got up to leave on their own. Let's go, can't even feed himself. In any case, Serafina decided to comply with Eric's request and started to get the food. She brought a piece of food to Eric's mouth. Eric comfortably opened his mouth. At the same time, Anthony's group was secretly spying from outside the window. Is this guy even human? He's so weak, it looks like one squeeze would crush him. Serafina could feel their stares. There are so many dragons outside, she worried. It's so scary. As if sensing her worry, Eric comforted her. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Serafina looked at Eric, slightly surprised. Is he protecting me? She thought. Then Eric took her hand. All right, we're done eating. I'm taking you somewhere. Serafina followed Eric, her heart filled with confusion. What am I to him, really? He told me not to be afraid and that he'd protect me. He gave me new clothes and good food. Am I just his private food reserve? But then she had to laugh at her own thought. I must be going crazy. Just like that, Serafina obediently followed Eric. They walked hand in hand to a large door. Serafina was still lost in thought, but she no longer felt the fear she had before. Eric turned to her and told her to step back a bit. Then there was a loud bang, and water sprayed everywhere. Serafina quickly pressed herself against Eric. It's so cold. Where is this? Meanwhile, Eric wore a satisfied smile as he looked at her. So you know to rely on me. He then placed his hand on a glowing stone, while Serafina remained still, leaning against his chest. It took her a moment to realize she had been leaning on him without thinking. She cautiously started to back away, but Eric quickly held her in place. Without a hint of shame, he pulled her into an embrace and whispered, Why are you leaving? Don't you dislike people getting so close? Serafina replied, completely flustered. Hearing her words, Eric pulled her closer angrily and demanded, Who told you that? His actions scared her a little. He was still very intimidating. But surprisingly, Eric's eyes held a hint of concern. He carefully instructed her, You should stay here for now. This place is very safe. No other dragon would dare to enter. I have to go out for a bit, eh? Serafina said, a bit surprised. Behind them, an egg began to make a cracking sound. Eric turned to look at the eggs on the stone pedestal and said with a fond look, It seems they really like you. See that jar next to you? Rub the oil on each of them. You don't have to be too thorough. It's not like these lumps know any better. With that, Eric quickly left the room. He recalled Anthony's question from earlier. Have you consummated with her? What's it like to be with a human? This made Eric ponder. Anthony and the others mentioned consummation. I remember reading about it in a book. Consummation is a more passionate, deeper collision, a physical contact. But with her slender frame, can she even withstand me? Inside the room, Serafina stared at the egg in amazement. Is this egg moving? She watched, wide-eyed, as the egg made a cracking sound. Serafina glanced at another nearby egg, which also started to move. A moment later, it zipped right in front of her. She hugged both eggs tightly, her face tense. That was close. The two eggs, as soon as they met, showed clear hostility. Serafina watched curiously as they moved closer to each other. Are they fighting? Serafina smiled brightly and carefully placed the two eggs down. Then she spoke in a gentle voice, advising them, "You're not being good. I'll put oil on each of you, so don't be impatient." With that, Serafina took the oil from a box. Next, she picked up an egg and smiled faintly. I have to apply it evenly. Seeing this, the other eggs also jumped down one by one. But the moment Serafina touched the egg, a familiar scene occurred. Streaks of purple light continuously rose from it. Serafina stared in utter shock, as her vision was engulfed by an intense burst of light. Meanwhile, in the library, Rhodey was lounging comfortably while Anthony was studying something. Suddenly, Anthony sat up straight and said, "Maybe I should follow His Highness's lead and capture someone for myself. A beastkin would be fine. I want to consummate and lay dragon eggs too." Anthony looked at Rhodey with a calculating gaze. Rhodey gave him a mysterious smile and asked, "What about you?" Anthony didn't bother to answer and just coolly snapped his fingers. Instantly, a magic circle appeared under Rhodey's feet. This left him utterly surprised, and he cried out helplessly, "What are you doing? Wait!" In a flash, Rhodey had been turned into a small child. Anthony smiled smugly. "Let me help you remember your true nature. You will forever be the youngest dragon of our clan. As long as no new dragons are born, you'll always be the little kid. A kid like you dares to think about consummating and laying dragon eggs?" Being looked down upon like that, Rhodey was so angry that tears welled up in his eyes. He shrieked, "Anthony, I'll kill you!" He even clung to Anthony, scratching him. "I'll bite you to death!" Behind them, Eric stood watching the two with a calm expression, as if this were a daily occurrence. Anthony then effortlessly grabbed Rhodey's dragon tail. "All right, hurry up and put some clothes on," he said calmly. "His Highness is here to discuss official business." "Fine," Rhodey replied angrily. A moment later, Eric asked directly, "How does consummation work?" Seeing this, Anthony, while searching for a book, asked with amusement, "In such a hurry to ask? Consummation isn't necessarily a good thing. What if she doesn't lay a dragon egg? If you consummate and she can't produce an egg, it means she can't bear the responsibility of continuing the bloodline that the elders expect. If that's the case..." But just as he said that, Anthony felt an icy glare on him that was so terrifying he dropped his book. Instantly, Eric roared with anger, sending everything in the library flying. But what if that's the case? It has nothing to do with her. She doesn't have to lay dragon eggs, and she doesn't have to bear the responsibility of continuing the bloodline. Over with Serafina, she stared in panic at the eggs, which were now engulfed in a chaotic purple energy. Her face was filled with extreme worry. "This is bad. The black fire is out of control again. At this rate, it'll burn the dragon eggs." Suddenly, the eggs in her hands leaped away from her, unhesitatingly charging into the black fire. Serafina reached out in fear, trying to stop them. "No!" Meanwhile, the library was in chaos, with books flying everywhere. Eric had Anthony by the throat, growling, "She doesn't have to lay dragon eggs, and she doesn't have to continue the bloodline. I've wanted her for over a decade, and now no one will separate us. Not the clan elders, and not you." Anthony's face was pale as he struggled to push Eric's hand away. "All right, I get it. Just calm down." After Eric let go, Anthony offered an idea. She wants to go home simply because she wants to reunite with her family. If she can't go, then just bring her family here. But Eric immediately rejected it. No, her family used to bully her. Hearing that, Anthony insisted. "Even better. Just bring them here and get revenge on them. She'll definitely love that." Meanwhile, Serafina, unaware of their plan, was carefully inspecting the eggs. She stared at the cracks on one and exclaimed in despair, "What do I do? Why are there so many black cracks? I'm definitely going to die this time." Then, startled by the sound of approaching footsteps, she quickly looked up. The eggs all scattered in fear, making Serafina extremely anxious. "Where are you guys going?" The moment he pushed the door open, Eric saw Serafina's dazed and utterly devastated state. The sight broke his heart. He rushed over to her and pulled her into his arms, his face full of concern. "What happened? Why are you crying? Are you hurt? Where? Let me see." "No, it's nothing," Serafina replied weakly. Meanwhile, the two baby eggs were hiding in a corner, watching. Eric then held Serafina close, gently comforting her. "Don't cry. When you cry, it makes me want to kill something." Serafina pressed herself against Eric, her eyes hesitant as she thought, "Is he worried about me? Or is he warning me?" At the same time, the baby eggs cautiously crept out from behind her. Serafina suddenly remembered the moments her supposed mother had insulted her. Crying won't help. Hiding or concealing things will only make me despise you more. This thought made Serafina even sadder. He probably hates this weakness too, she thought. Serafina held up an egg. Her head bowed as she told Eric, "They're cracked. I'm sorry." Eric looked at the cracked egg without any expression. He leaned close to Serafina and said with a smile, "So they're cracked? Why apologize? They haven't hatched in hundreds of years anyway. So what if they're cracked?" Seeing him casually playing with the egg, Serafina quickly tried to stop him. Don't! It'll really break!" Serafina hugged the egg. Eric's gaze immediately followed her action. He remembered the book Anthony had given him. Anthony had insisted that the book had all the answers he was looking for. So Eric had started reading. The act of consummation is like swallowing the other person whole. It seems humans must take this step to acknowledge their love for each other. With that thought, Eric moved closer to Serafina. He leaned in and whispered in her ear, "I'm a little jealous. You've never held me as seriously as you're holding that egg." Serafina clutched the egg tighter and quickly moved away from him. Is he jealous of an egg? Eric moved even closer, making Serafina shiver. He looked at her with a doting gaze. "Wait for me, Serafina. I'll bring you the gift you desire." Then Eric gave Serafina a passionate kiss. No," she mumbled. At that moment, the egg in her hands suddenly slipped. Her attention instinctively shifted to it. The egg. She cried out in alarm, "Wait, don't run." Seeing this, Eric ground his teeth and glared at the egg. "The egg? You're with me, and you're still distracted by that thing?" Struck by Eric's murderous gaze, the little egg shivered in fear. Serafina stammered, unable to speak. Eric held Serafina's cheeks, his eyes filled with anger. "Look at me. That's enough. I'm the one in front of you now." Serafina was completely bewildered. Why is he suddenly so angry? Did he just bite me? Just then, Eric abruptly took Serafina's hand. "Come outside with me," he said gently. They walked out of the room together, unaware of a mysterious figure watching them from behind. The figure held an egg and smiled mysteriously. The witch was right. This human does have some value. We'll proceed with the plan, using her until she's no longer useful. Back with Eric and Serafina, Eric presented her with an exquisite dagger. "This is for you." "A dagger?" Serafina exclaimed in surprise. Seeing that her reaction wasn't what he'd hoped for, Eric asked, "You don't like it? Then I'll go capture a dwarf to forge a special weapon just for you. What do you want?" Serafina quickly waved her hands. "No, that's not it." She looked down at the dagger in her hand, thinking, "Can I really take this? It's a weapon. The past few days have been like a dream. Even though he kidnapped me, my previous situation wasn't any better than this. But with him, I always sleep so well. I get to eat normal meals and wear beautiful clothes." At that moment, Serafina's heart wavered slightly. Does he really plan on eating me? Serafina looked at the dagger Eric offered and thought, could he actually be sincere? So she asked him, "Can I really have this?" Hearing her ask that made Eric's heart ache a little. He took her hand and told her to turn around. He placed his hands on her waist, then firmly tucked the dagger into her belt. Then Eric wrapped his arms around her and said softly, "You really are too thin." These simple words of concern moved Serafina deeply. Would a dragon who only sees me as food eat the tiny meals I make for him every day without complaint? Would he show me the location of secret tunnels and hidden doors? Would he constantly bring me new clothes and even dress me himself? Would he give a weapon to his prey? And he even... "I declare I will hold a wedding ceremony with the human." Lost in thought, she was suddenly startled. "What are you doing?" "Your clothes were burned by the black fire again," he replied. "Of course, you need to change into a new set." Let me change myself," she stammered. "Fine," he relented. She nervously clasped her hands together. "What's wrong?" he asked, looking at her with confusion. "Why?" Serafina asked tentatively. "Why aren't you afraid of my black fire?" It was clear at the temple. Some people were burned by the black fire. Some even had their souls incinerated, and others were left in a daze. She remembered the image of a mother holding her child, pointing at her and shouting, "You are the witch of flames. You must suffer the harshest punishment." And so, they all feared me, shunned me, and rejected me. Eric took her hand. "Afraid? Release your black fire right now and see." "I can't," Serafina stammered. "I can't control it. I'll hurt you." "The Dragon Clan is not afraid," Eric told her calmly. "Across all 9 great nations, no flame is more fearsome than dragon flame. If you don't believe in yourself, then believe in me." The room was filled with all sorts of outfits. Eric looked into Serafina's eyes and said, "If you don't trust yourself, then trust me." "I trust you," Serafina said hesitantly. "But..." She looked at Eric, her face full of worry. "I can't control it and I can't release it." Eric gently stroked her head. "It's okay. I'll wait for it to appear again. Then you'll know I'm not afraid at all." Hearing his tone, Serafina chuckled to herself. Why does he sound like a child bragging about his talents? She then turned to Eric and said, All right, I believe you. Eric smiled faintly. She's smiling, he thought to himself. Can you trust me? Serafina asked shyly. Please don't keep staring at me like that. Let me change my clothes by myself. Eric obediently agreed. A moment later, Serafina said, Okay, I'm done. Hearing that, Eric turned around. Serafina's beauty left him speechless. Just looking at her, Eric imagined a scene where she smiled radiantly, extending her hand towards him and invitingly saying, Your Highness. He was completely captivated by her beauty. Seeing Eric just standing there in a daze, Serafina called out, Your Highness? Her voice pulled Eric back to reality. He shyly turned to leave first. It's nothing. Let's go. Back to the bedroom. But inside, Eric was anxious. I need to confess quickly and arrange the wedding. But does she prefer simpler outfits like this? Her chest is all covered up now. I can't see those pale veins anymore. A look of regret crossed his face. What a shame. But still, it's better than the image of her in my dreams all these years. As long as she's alive, that's what matters. At that moment, Serafina said softly, Your Highness, thank you for these clothes. Do you prefer simple outfits like this? Eric looked at her and asked. Ah, yes, Serafina replied quietly. Simple things suit me better. Your Highness, you seem to prefer more extravagant things. I do, Eric answered sincerely. But if you like simplicity, I won't object. No, Serafina replied, flustered. Your Highness, your beauty doesn't need jewels or gold to be enhanced. And just like that, Eric's cold heart was won over by her words. The silence that followed was strangely comforting. She said I'm beautiful, he thought happily. He then took off his shirt, revealing a part of his muscular physique. I need to act faster, he resolved. Dragon scales began to appear on his body, and then he spread his wings, preparing to take flight. Eric transformed into his majestic dragon form and instantly vanished into the sky. I'll go get that gift, then confessed to her right away. Below, Rhodey and Anthony both looked up as Eric flew away. He really went to capture the humans, Rhodey said worriedly. You're done for. Not necessarily, Anthony replied. We can't stop him. We have to find that person quickly. Hearing this, Rhodey became even more agitated, shouting, Sneaking off to visit Eric's bride like this will only get you killed faster. Seeing his attitude, Anthony frowned angrily. If we just let Eric do what he wants, the situation will only get worse. We won't gain any advantage with the humans either. Let's go. In the human realm, Midia looked at the gray sky and sighed. Father, I have a feeling today is not a good day. Her father stated firmly. Marrying her off to the old lord has already brought heavy criticism upon our family's reputation. And then this happened. To save our honor, this blessing ceremony must be completed. And those damn commoners, Midia added smugly. They won't even let us rest in peace. How dare those peasants gossip about the affairs of us nobles? At that moment, Duke Perrin stepped forward and announced, Let us now begin the blessing ceremony for the late Lady Serafina Perrin. He added hastily, The lengthy rituals at the beginning are unnecessary. We just need to complete the rite of blessing for the dead. Hearing this, the officiant hesitated. Your Grace. The others began to whisper among themselves. She's probably been in hell for a long time. Right. That terrifying black fire was probably the result of a soul deal with a demon. It's best to end this charade quickly. Suddenly, a voice interrupted them. What kind of farce are you all performing? Hearing the voice, everyone turned to look. A man in a magnificent military uniform entered, his face stern. She is your sister, your family. Who says she is dead? Serafina lay on the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. Why? Why would you lock me up too? She was completely lost in her thoughts, utterly bewildered by Eric's actions. Where is this? Eric looked at Serafina, who was standing inside a protective circle. This is a sealing incantation. You cannot leave this room, and no other dragon can enter. And then, before vanishing, Eric said his final words, I'm leaving now. Don't leave this room. Just be good and stay here. He left her standing there, staring dazedly after him. Why? Weren't things fine just a moment ago? Wait. Suddenly, flames erupted around Serafina, startling her. Fire? Why is there fire? A scene flashed before her eyes, Midia grabbing her hair, her face contorted with rage as she shrieked. Why? Why did he write you a letter of concern? What are you that you deserve anyone's concern? I'll burn that face of yours. Surrounded by flames, Serafina's face was a mask of pain and panic. Midia, why is she here? What letter? Who sent me a letter that made Midia so angry? Then the scene before her shifted again. Serafina looked around and realized she was at a ball. This is a gala. Her mother was talking to someone. Your Highness, my daughter is merely a pretty vase. She will step on your feet and embarrass you. Serafina began to remember what had happened. I remember now. The one who eventually asked me to dance, the heir to the throne, chose Midia. But I don't know what she said, because a young, eager man was then called over to dance with me. I knew I was being made fun of again because I had never learned to dance. Serafina took a step and accidentally trod on the young guard's foot. Startled, she quickly apologized. I'm sorry, are you all right? The guard placed a hand on his chest and introduced himself with a confident gaze. My esteemed Lady Serafina, my name is Jacob. I hope you will remember me. Fragments of memories of Jacob began to surface in her mind. At that time, he was just a fallen noble, unnoticed by anyone. But later, I heard he joined the army and became an outstanding knight. He was the one who sent me the letter, which drove Midia into a frenzy. And I was locked up as punishment, as always. I'm still locked up, just like today. At that moment, Serafina slowly opened her eyes. She was lying in bed, her expression dazed. Why did I suddenly see all that? Was it because of what Rhodey said earlier? Rewinding to a short while ago, Rhodey had come to find her. Only you can convince Eric. Just coax him, make him think you really like him, and he'll stop causing trouble everywhere. What kind of trouble? Serafina asked, confused. To make you happy, he's captured your relatives. Rhodey told her bluntly. Aren't you going to save them? Hearing this, Serafina couldn't quite believe it. Doesn't he want to kill me? Rhodey shook his head vigorously, waving his hands. He won't kill you. You have no idea how much he gave up to have you. Thinking back on this, Serafina stared out the window with a thoughtful expression. Why would he want a witch scorned by the world like me? Rhodey's words were vague. There's so much I don't understand. Rhodey's question echoed in her ears. Aren't you going to save them? Remembering this, Serafina asked herself, who are my relatives? Meanwhile, in the human realm, in a lavish carriage, Midia's face was a mess of confusion as she muttered repeatedly, commoner, commoner, they're all commoners. At the blessing ceremony earlier, the moment she saw Jacob, she had rushed over excitedly. Knight Jacob, it's Knight Jacob. What are you doing here? I heard you were still on the front lines fighting the demon race. But her warm welcome was met with a cold glance from Jacob. Seeing him walk towards Serafina's portrait filled Midia with rage. What? Ignoring me? Jacob looked at Serafina's portrait with a pained expression, his eyes filled with determination. I will find out where she is, slay the evil dragon, and bring her back. Hearing this, her father said joyfully, You want to rescue Serafina? If you can bring her back, I will present you with jewels and recommend you before the king. But Jacob declared firmly, I need neither jewels nor recommendations, your grace. I only ask that when the time comes, you grant me Serafina's hand in marriage so we may swear an eternal vow. At that moment, Serafina's mother also spoke up. Find her and you have my permission to take her. Remembering that scene made Midia furious. Who gave you the right to decide that? She seethed, grinding her teeth in frustration, before screaming, Commoner, they're all commoners. Just then, Midia's carriage was unexpectedly blocked by a strange creature. Instantly, the carriage was completely destroyed. Everyone stared in shock and horror at the terrible scene. Then the surrounding people started to panic and flee. It's a great dragon! A great dragon has come to kill us! In a peaceful scene, a familiar voice rang out. What's this? My nose tickles. Serafina groggily opened her eyes. Is this a butterfly? Suddenly, Eric's face appeared before her. He looked at Serafina with a profound gaze. You seem to be quite the crybaby. Serafina just looked at him without saying a word. Huh? Seeing this, Eric continued. Although I like you that way, they say tears are a symbol of sadness. I'm not sad, Serafina quickly denied. It was just a bad dream, she told herself. Hearing that, Eric gently caressed her cheek and whispered, That's right. Because with me, you'll never be sad. Because I love you. Then he gently placed a kiss on her lips. After the kiss, Serafina felt a bit flustered and quickly made an excuse. Right, I'm a little hungry. Can we go out? Eric turned to her. But I've brought back your gift. You should take a look first. A gift? Serafina thought in surprise. Is it the relatives Rhodey mentioned? Could it be Mother? As Serafina followed Eric, she curiously remembered, speaking of which, how did Rhodey get past the wards to enter my room? At that moment, Serafina looked around, her eyes filled with surprise and delight. This place is beautiful. I never knew a place like this existed. Suddenly, a magic circle appeared in the sky, and something fell out of it, making Serafina scream. Before her was Midia, kneeling on the ground, coughing painfully. Midia looked at her and Eric with eyes full of anger and hatred. Midia, why is it you? Serafina said, utterly surprised. At that moment, Midia used all her strength to crawl towards Serafina. It's you! She shrieked with resentment. You're not dead yet, you commoner! But before Midia could do anything to Serafina, Eric sent her flying with a powerful kick, then turned to comfort Serafina. Are you okay? I'm fine, Serafina replied. Meanwhile, Midia shrieked angrily, Why? Why doesn't this commoner ever die? And she's even living so well? Why? Even Jacob is protecting Serafina. At that time, I hope you will grant me Serafina's hand so we may swear an eternal vow. Remembering those words made Midia even more resentful. Why? Over here, Serafina was trying to persuade Eric. Can I talk to her for a moment? Eric nodded. Fine, but I still advise you to use the dagger I gave you to cut her open. Serafina smiled brightly at Eric. You know very well I won't do that. She walked over to Midia, her face sad as she asked, Midia, is Mother okay? Midia looked up at Serafina with contempt. Ha, Mother? Your mother is also a whore who only knows how to leech off our family's fortune. That despicable slut. Hearing her say that, Serafina shouted angrily, Don't you dare insult my mother! Midia lay on the ground, her eyes filled with hatred as she screamed, How dare you use the Medici family name to give her marriage contract to Jacob? Hearing this information left Serafina completely confused. Huh? I don't understand what you're talking about. Midia shrieked again. The three of you are a disgrace to our family. You commoners, all of you are commoners. Her insults even angered Eric. He immediately went to Serafina's side and gently cupped her small face. He brushed her hair back, his face showing a look of determination. You are my wife. Anthony said that only you and I can have a marriage contract. Midia looked at Eric suspiciously. What the hell is he talking about? A marriage contract. She was so angry she ground her teeth. Eric held Serafina tightly, his gaze cold and disdainful as he looked at the screaming Midia. You should have married that damn old man and been tortured to death in his bed. What royal knight order of the Roaring Knights? And you useless dragon with nothing but looks, you're all a bunch of blind fools. Then she laughed maniacally. I knew it. You must have been colluding with the Dragon Clan all along. I have to go back and tell Father, to have you and your mother thrown in the dungeon. With that, Midia raised the magic ring on her hand and shouted. Seeing the magic flames erupt from the ring, Serafina was completely bewildered. The power from the ring shot towards her with fierce intensity. Die! But Eric held her tightly in his arms, using his own power to protect her. Then he easily retrieved the ring. Is this a ring? Serafina asked curiously. It's Murichu's venom, Eric replied grimly. Murichu's venom? Serafina looked at the object in horror. My father's books mentioned it. This venom can completely erase all traces of a person. Thinking of this, she looked at Midia with fear. She really wants to kill me. Finally, Serafina made up her mind. Midia, I can't let you go back. Her fear caught Eric's attention. He watched in surprise as Serafina muttered to herself, I can't let her go back. She'll get Mother killed. I can't let her go back. So Eric immediately used that same terrifying poison to strike back at Midia. Returning this to you. Just then, Anthony flew in and blocked Eric's attack. Stop, Eric. Seeing this, Eric roared in anger. Anthony, you again? Do you have a death wish? But Anthony replied with a warning tone, I just don't want you to kill someone in front of her. Eric lunged forward, throwing a punch at Anthony. You talk too much. As Eric flew through the air, preparing to attack Anthony, Rhodey quickly stepped in to stop him. Eric, don't fight here. This is Donna's flower garden. Get out of the way, Eric roared at Rhodey. Seeing this, Rhodey turned to Serafina for help. Leave her to us to handle. We'll make sure she can't return to human territory. Only you can make him stop. Though terrified, Serafina mustered all her courage and called out, Eric, stop! Just as she shouted, Eric's fist was about to connect with Rhodey. Seeing this, Serafina clutched her chest, not daring to breathe. Fortunately, everything stopped just in time. Now, Eric, Anthony, and Rhodey were lying scattered on the ground amidst the flower garden. Rhodey let out a sigh of relief. If Donna comes back and sees this, you guys will become fertilizer for her flowers. Midia lay collapsed on the ground. Serafina stood silently watching her, her thoughts in turmoil. She clearly intended to kill me, yet now that she's alive, I feel relieved. Serafina began to doubt herself. Am I too weak? But Rhodey replied as if it were obvious. Of course not. You're a kind human who was raised properly, using laws to solve problems, not personal fights. But I hope you also understand the customs of our dragon clan. We have no laws. Only killing and conquering life and death. This is the continent of Esta, a place that holds all possibilities. In that moment, something clicked for Serafina. She decisively grabbed the dagger at her belt, her gaze firm as she declared, I won't be lenient anymore. If you want to kill her, I won't object. Rhodey smiled, his eyes friendly. My lady, death is a reward for the wicked. We are anything but merciful. A while later at the castle, Eric said angrily, You guys hold back. She made this for me. Rhodey immediately shot back. So what? She said we could eat it too, right? Yes, that's right. Serafina replied gently. Eric then turned to Serafina and pouted, I want you to feed me. Seeing him like this, she could only offer a helpless smile. I'm sure you can do it yourself. Finally, Eric started eating on his own, with Serafina standing by to take care of him. Go on, eat. Let me wipe your mouth. Anthony observed the two and thought to himself, this human is interesting. She's found her place in just a short time. Eric was already plotting something new. It seems bringing her relatives here for revenge really works. Who should I bring next? But then he remembered Midia's words. How dare you use the Medici family name to give her marriage contract to Jacob? Thinking of this, Eric slammed the table in anger, his face dark with murderous intent as he asked, Jacob? He was truly furious. He frowned and picked up the small knife, his face radiating killing intent. Who is Jacob? I'll tear that Jacob into 100 pieces. However, judging by Serafina's reaction, she seemed quite surprised by the name herself. Jacob? She began to recall his face. I'm leaving soon. This is for you. At that time, Serafina was still an innocent and happy girl. Jacob's smile had truly made her heart flutter. Was this love? I wasn't sure, but among the few people who were kind to me, he was one of them. No, if Eric really goes looking for Jacob, he'll kill him. Serafina frowned, both panicked and struggling to find a way to explain to Eric. Midia might be lying. Jacob and I don't actually have any marriage contract. Please don't do anything. Eric frowned, shouting angrily at her, Are you defending him? No, that's not it, Serafina explained, flustered. I just think she's lying. It sounds ridiculous. Suddenly, Anthony appeared out of nowhere and suggested to Eric that he just send someone to investigate. After all, she was a daughter of their house. They couldn't just arrange a marriage contract carelessly. Jacob was the captain of the Roaring Knights. A man of some renown, it wouldn't be hard to find out. Although Eric stopped pressuring her, she still couldn't relax. He still seemed unhappy. Anthony also saw Eric's gloomy state. He gently patted Eric's back. Don't worry. I've heard of him. A man like that, if he wants a marriage contract with a commoner, he must have traded something for it. So you still have a chance. Once they were in the bedroom, he suddenly hugged her tightly from behind and said, You are mine. No one else can have you. Understand? Serafina glanced up at Eric's platinum blonde hair, feeling quite surprised. His hair smells like blood. She moved closer to Eric and asked, Sir, can I brush your hair? His eyes lit up. Does that mean yes? Sure enough, when the beautiful lady offered to help, Eric didn't hesitate to show off his own beauty. All right, let's begin. Serafina thought to herself, when he takes off his armor, he looks several years younger. I'll put some conditioning oil in your hair. Eric replied with a smile. As she brushed his hair, Serafina thought, he's actually quite easy to please. It's just this affection he has for me. I don't know when it will end. Serafina, in the days that followed, often wandered in the garden with the butterflies. She gently touched one's wings and whispered, Can you tell me what's been wrong with him lately? One moment he won't let me cook for Rhodey, the next he won't let me feed the little animals. Serafina was so engrossed in her conversation with the butterflies that she didn't notice Eric watching her. She tilted her head back to look at the sky, enjoying the fresh morning air. Perhaps Eric had heard her words because he frowned in annoyance. He remembered, cooking for others, grooming cats. Why can't you just be good to me alone? I only want you to do those things for me. Serafina saw Eric. She called out to him softly, Your Highness, you're here. Why does he look unhappy again? Maybe I should try to cheer him up. Look at this butterfly. The pattern on its wings is like your eyes. The same beautiful blue? Eric didn't reply, just pulled her closer by the hand. He glanced at her and asked, Who is more beautiful, me or the butterfly? His unexpected question made Serafina too shy to answer. She lowered her head, trying to hide her blushing face. A moment later, she could only shyly look away and reply in a tiny voice, You. Hearing that, Eric smiled with satisfaction. He then caught a butterfly. Do you like butterflies? I can help you preserve it as a specimen. No, don't! Serafina cried out, trying to stop him. He didn't give up on the poor butterfly. Then I'll encase it in crystal for you. If you like it, you don't have to tie it down. Before he could finish his sentence, a knight rushed over to give him an urgent report. Your Highness, winter is coming. The werewolves have crossed the border again, and the traitorous dragon clan members are there too. Eric's expression turned serious as he looked at Serafina. I have to go out for a while. She said, oh, as if she had understood. Eric then released the magic on the butterfly and hurriedly left, leaving a sad-faced Serafina behind, reluctant to see him go. A while later, as Serafina walked down the corridor, she thought about what the knight had just said. It seems something big has happened. All the dragons in the castle have gone out. Suddenly, she noticed a door in front of her. Is that the main door? Serafina vaguely remembered the last time she had seen this door. At that time, she had walked over and pushed it open. She had even tried to use her magic to get out. But in the end, her efforts were fruitless. She was repelled. Defeated, she had returned to her room, alone and sad. She held an egg, gently touching her head to it, and sighed. Ah, what am I thinking? There's no way they'd let me leave so easily. Besides, even if I got out, where would I go? Remembering this, Seraphina's eyes widened. She recalled Eric appearing out of nowhere and gently hugging her from behind. I didn't realize it before, but his scent is the same as his hair oil. Remembering this scene, she couldn't help but smile to herself. Both he and the dragon eggs are the same, like children who need to be coddled. Suddenly, Seraphina felt she was thinking nonsense. She shyly covered her face. No, don't think such things. He could eat me at any moment. Just then, Seraphina walked over to a portrait hanging on the wall. Looking at the person in the picture, Donna, a member of the dragon clan, she was filled with questions. Strange. I've never seen a female dragon. Without females, how do they lay eggs, and how do they incubate them? Feeling it wasn't her business, Seraphina turned to leave. Oh well, it's not something I should be thinking about. Suddenly, in the quiet space, a voice called her name, sending a chill down her spine and making her turn towards the sound. Who's there? But her question was met with a strange, eerie laugh. A terrifying thought popped into her head. Is that painting talking? Seeing her fearful expression and the way she held a sword defensively, Donna just casually swirled the wine in her glass. Such a rare opportunity. If it weren't for Eric leaving, I wouldn't have had a chance to talk to you. Seraphina pointed the small sword at the painting. Though nervous, she tried to calm herself. Stay calm, stay calm. The dragon clan is very possessive of what belongs to them. Even if I'm to be killed, they won't let anyone else do it, so I should be safe for now. At that moment, Donna leaned forward and looked at her, her voice reassuring. Don't be afraid. No dragon wants to kill you, because Eric loves you. And more importantly, you are our hope. Donna smiled and casually set down her wine glass. Her words left Seraphina completely bewildered. Hope? Seraphina was lost in thought. Anthony had said he genuinely loves you and wants to marry you. Rhodey had said, you have no idea how much he sacrificed for you. And he himself had said more than once, I love you. But I'm still like a butterfly in his hand, able to be crushed to dust at any moment. Just then, Donna spoke up. However, it seems this matter is quite serious. Miss Seraphina, my descendants are summoning you through me. Good luck. Suddenly, a magic circle appeared beneath her feet, and she fell right into it. A few seconds later, the magic circle transported her to another place. Looking at her surroundings, she couldn't help but feel scared. Huh? Where is this? Seraphina passed through the magic circle. Under the force of gravity, she quickly found herself in free fall towards a forest. Despite this, she remained calm, gripping the dagger tightly. When the opportunity arose, she plunged the dagger into a cliff face, which halted her fall. She took another careful look around. Countless explosions were happening all around her, making her fairly certain she had been teleported to a battlefield. Suddenly, a menacing cracking sound came from behind her. Seraphina's eyes widened, sensing something was wrong. Something's behind me. She hadn't realized a massive wolf had been targeting her from behind. At this point, she had no choice but to bravely turn around. Cutting to another scene. Anthony and Rhodey were searching for her. After walking for a while without finding her, Rhodey asked, Anthony, are you sure she's here? Anthony just told him, stop making noise. Eric just let out a world-shaking roar. Pay attention to your surroundings. All right, Rhodey reluctantly agreed. Suddenly, a roar of pain echoed through the area. They instinctively turned towards the sound. Rhodey's heart sank. This is bad. Why is the wolf clan here? Is she even still alive? Stop asking questions and find her, Anthony said coldly. The closer they got to Seraphina's location, the stronger the smell of blood became. The smell of blood is so strong. Seraphina's arm was now covered in it. When Anthony and Rhodey arrived, they were stunned, though her hair and clothes were stained with blood. It wasn't hers, but the massive wolf's at her feet. Looking at the scene, Rhodey was speechless. What in the world happened? This human managed to kill a great wolf single-handedly? Stop staring and let's get her out of here, Anthony urged from behind. Just then, Seraphina turned to them with a pitiful expression. I'm back to looking like I did at the beginning. Immediately after, Rhodey took charge of carrying her. The three of them flew through the sky. Did you teleport me here? Seraphina asked fearfully. Where are you taking me now? Anthony didn't explain clearly, just said there was no time to explain. All she needed to know was that Eric had lost control and needed her. His words immediately stunned her. Huh? A moment later, Anthony looked down at the ground. We're here. This is it. Let's go down for now. She looked down. A very intense battle was raging below. Once they landed, Anthony told her Eric was inside. So what do I need to do? She asked. Try calling his name, Rhodey suggested. See if he calms down. Don't use any honorifics, Anthony added from the side. Just call his name. Though a bit confused, Serafina agreed. All right. She took a deep breath and then called out as loudly as she could. Hearing his name, Eric turned to look at her. His eyes were terrifying at that moment. He saw her familiar face and froze for a few seconds. Then he rushed towards her. He's coming! Suddenly, Anthony yelled, Run! Leaving both Serafina and Rhodey confused. He hasn't recovered yet, Anthony warned, looking at Eric, but it was too late to do anything. There's no time. An agitated Eric grabbed Serafina by the throat, even as Rhodey tried to explain. Eric ignored him. He grabbed her and shot backwards, leaving both Rhodey and Anthony terrified. This is bad. At this point, Eric still thought the Serafina before him was just a figment of his imagination. Die, illusion, he roared aggressively. But looking at her, she felt so real. In that instant, he realized it was really her, not an illusion at all. This made him freeze, and his hand on her throat unconsciously let go. Serafina fell into a nearby lake, terrified, and struggled to catch her breath. Eric still looked at her with some disbelief. The black fire? It's really her. Why is she here? So he started walking towards her. Thinking he hadn't fully come to his senses, she instinctively backed away. Eric crouched down near her. Just as she was worried about what he might do next, Eric just shyly scratched his head. He looked at her with a tender gaze, then said softly, I'm sorry, can you forgive me? Leaving her completely surprised. After everything was taken care of, everyone gathered together, laughing and talking. Rhodey, are you really being this serious just to avoid getting hit by Eric? Don't you hate your old body the most? As soon as he had calmed down, Eric worriedly instructed Serafina, We have to go clean up the border and make sure all the werewolves have retreated. The wards are still recovering, so you have to come with us. She turned her face away and replied, Oh, okay. I didn't hear your answer earlier. Eric brought up the previous matter again. What? She started hesitantly. Eric moved closer and cut her off. You haven't said you forgive me. Hearing that, she stammered even more, not really wanting to. Do I have to say I forgive him? Ah. But seeing her evasive attitude, Eric said, I get it. He then immediately cupped her face and pulled her in for a kiss. Caught off guard by the kiss, her face turned bright red. So? Eric tilted his head and asked again, You still don't want to forgive me, do you? No, that's not it, she replied, shaking her head. Seeing that she still hadn't forgiven him, Eric frowned. I was just thinking that your highness doesn't need to do that. She tried to continue, but he kissed her on the face again, leaving her dazed. He rested his head on her shoulder and whispered, I'm sorry. Human emotions are too complex. They give me a headache. I don't understand. Can you teach me? Seeing his sincerity, her heart softened a little. They were both still in the water. Eric quickly took her hand and led her to the shore. Let's get out first. I'll use a spell to clean you up, Rhodey ran over and said. Thank you, Rhodey, Serafina replied. She looked at Eric's retreating figure and thought to herself, right now, he looks so rational and cold, as if he were born to conquer the continent. Everyone is waiting for his command. It's no wonder he's called the kingdom's ghost. Facing this side of Eric, even if Jacob came now, he couldn't take me away. I should probably find a way to contact Jacob quickly, to convince him not to act rashly and risk his life for me. He has a bright future ahead of him. Back at the camp, as soon as she entered the tent, Serafina saw Eric struggling to comb through his matted hair. She couldn't help but laugh, thinking, he looks like a grumpy cat. Then she said softly, Let me help you, okay? Hearing this, Eric's eyes lit up, but he pretended to be cool and turned his head away, handing her the comb. Fine. I might need to use scissors too, she continued, taking the comb. Can I trim your hair a little? With that, she took out a sharp golden pair of scissors. Looking at the scissors in her hand, Serafina considered taking advantage of Eric's trust to harm him. He's not on guard against me, as usual. Maybe just one strike would be enough to kill him. But then she abandoned the thought. She gently combed and trimmed the burnt parts of his hair, a hint of pity welling up inside her. His hair is burned like this, as if his life force was drained in an instant. If he hadn't dodged quickly, he would have been turned to ash by the black flames. And yet he didn't blame me at all. Instead, After a moment of thought, Serafina suddenly said to Eric, I forgive you. Hearing this, Eric's eyes widened in surprise. He immediately turned around to confirm, Are you serious? Mm-hmm, she replied softly. Despite this, he pretended to be sulky and complained, But you didn't cook anything delicious for me today. There's no way to cook here, she explained immediately. You were looking at other people and deliberately not talking to me. He found another reason to be pouty. I wasn't, she tried to deny. But he continued to blame her, then used the opportunity to ask for more. I don't care. I should get a little reward as compensation. He pushed her down onto the bed and whispered sweet words to her. Serafina, No matter what you think, I will tell you again and again that I like you the most." Then he gently kissed her lips. His mischievous hand started to wander up her inner thigh. "Wait," she mumbled, embarrassed, trying to push him away. But Eric pressed on. He kissed her again and whispered, "Did you hear me? I like you the most." In the middle of their romantic moment, there was a rustling sound outside the tent. "There are dragons outside," she said, trembling. It turned out to be two little ones, spying. They whispered to each other. "It seems to be quiet now." Furious at being interrupted, Eric rushed out and scolded the little ones. "What are you doing?" Then he unceremoniously tossed them elsewhere. Once that was done, he sighed and went back into the tent. Serafina had already fallen asleep on the bed, her lips moving as she mumbled in her sleep. Don't come over here, don't come over here." In her dream, a beast with glowing red eyes was chasing her relentlessly. Terrified, she kept running. Suddenly, a glowing figure appeared ahead, and she ran into its arms. Being held and comforted by Eric, Serafina gradually escaped the nightmare. She fell asleep to his whispers. "Serafina, don't be afraid. I'm here. I'll protect you." In the dead of night, the shadows of wild beasts appeared around the campsite. The watchman's horn blew, waking the entire camp. "Enemy attack!" Serafina was jolted awake. "Hide here and don't come out," Eric instructed, reassuring her. "I'll protect you." "Okay," she replied. Suddenly, the sound of a weapon tore through the tent. "Eric!" she screamed in panic. Eric had already dashed out of the tent, blocking the assassin's blade. "You fool!" the attacker cursed him. "We're on the verge of extinction, and you, a dragon descendant, are still so indifferent? Have you forgotten our most important duty is to reproduce? If you can't do it, then hand her over." Serafina scrambled to find a hiding place. She overheard their conversation and wondered to herself, what are they talking about? Suddenly, Rhodey appeared out of nowhere. Rhodey, why are you here?" she asked. Rhodey slowly crawled over to her and replied, "Just hide for now." He got closer and gently reassured her, "My magic hasn't recovered enough to change back to my adult form yet. Don't worry, Eric is very strong. No one in our generation can surpass him." Those words stuck with her. This generation? If Rhodey is also considered part of this generation, then the next generation. She couldn't help but ask Rhodey curiously, "Why haven't those dragon eggs hatched yet?" Rhodey's expression turned sad. "Because we no longer have dragon flame," he replied. Hearing this made her even more curious. "Can you explain more clearly?" she asked. "The books I've read don't mention anything about how the dragon clan reproduces." She had already guessed a few things. From the sound of it, my being brought here is probably related to this. Suddenly, a giant wild beast lunged at them from behind. Luckily, they both managed to dodge in time. Serafina was thrown far away. "Serafina!" Rhodey shouted in panic. "Damn it," Rhodey cursed internally. From behind, Eric arrived just in time, kicking the beast away. Serafina held her sword defensively. Seeing that Eric had arrived, she felt a sense of relief. Eric glanced at her and finished off the monster. The victor of the night's raid had been decided. After cleaning up the mess from the battle, the soldiers unexpectedly burst into tears. "Why are they crying?" she asked, confused. "Crying over a little lost gold," Eric said maturely. "How pathetic. Isn't your highness quite fond of it too?" she teased with a smile. "But my most precious treasure is right here," Eric said smoothly, taking the opportunity to whisper sweet nothings to her. Though she had heard it many times, his expressions of affection always left her shy and speechless. Eric rushed over and hugged her tightly, nuzzling his head against her hip like a child. "Forget about them. My hair is messy again. I'll fix it for you right away," she said, affectionately stroking his hair. As she fixed his hair, she thought, "He usually seems so strict, but I can feel the care and protection he has for me. I want to repay him somehow." She then leaned down and placed a kiss on his forehead, much to his surprise, and said, "Thank you." Eric's platinum blonde hair flew in the wind like a clear waterfall. He lunged forward and swept her off her feet, startling her. Caught off guard, she let him kiss her, dazed. "This kiss is so intense," she thought frantically. "It feels like he's stealing all my breath." "Why did you kiss me?" Eric suddenly asked. His question melted her heart, her eyes shimmering with tears. She wrapped her arms around him and said, "Aren't you the one who always wants a reward?" Over the next week, the Dragon Clan completed all border patrols. Serafina sat behind Eric, gently combing his long hair. It disappeared. "What about the dragon that attacked us?" Eric rested his chin on his hand, enjoying the moment, and casually answered her question. "It died. It ran away to return to the Sea of Dragon Souls." "The Sea of Dragon Souls?" Serafina thought in surprise. Eric explained that only by returning there could the souls of their ancestors protect it and guide it to the afterlife. Seeing his grim expression, she didn't dare ask more. He seems very reluctant to let that one enter the afterlife. How long can a dragon live? Eric raised an eyebrow slightly. Longer than humans, he answered. Some of my ancestors lived for 1,000 years, and the shortest was at least 100. I don't even remember how old I am or my birthday. As she listened to him and finished braiding his hair, Serafina said, "All done. Then let's go back." Eric stood up and called for her to follow. Serafina seemed a bit hesitant to tell him her birthday was coming up, but she finally did. My birthday is next month. Let's celebrate our birthdays together. I can bake a cake like the one in the book, right? Also, what gift would you like? I'll get it for you." Without a moment's hesitation, he gently nodded in agreement. "Okay, let me help you down." His words and actions surprised her even more. "When father was alive, I used to have such beautiful birthday parties. But now it seems I'm starting to look forward to my birthday a little. Serafina, maybe you should try to feel a little love, and try to give him a little love too." Eric stood very still, afraid of letting her fall. Once he had her securely in his arms, he said, "We have to have a wedding cake at our wedding too." Serafina's eyes widened in surprise. "A wedding?" He's talking about a wedding. Eric couldn't see her expression and continued to ramble on. "What do I have to do to make you love me?" He gently set her down on the grass. She was a bit flustered, not knowing how to answer him. Is he angry because I didn't agree? Suddenly at that moment, Eric turned his head and leaned close to her beautiful face. "Or maybe you could bite me, huh?" she said, momentarily frightened. "If not, then I'll bite you," he continued. Panicked, Serafina did something reckless and bit him on the shoulder. Realizing she had hurt him, she was startled and worried. I'm sorry." Eric, however, was contemplating something else, seemingly not feeling any pain. Isn't this how werewolves propose? Why don't I feel any love? With that thought, he turned to her, and without warning bit her back hard. Serafina whimpered, confused and scared from being bitten. When he let her go, he found she was crying. He awkwardly tried to comfort her. "I'm sorry, don't cry." "What am I even doing? I promised I'd protect her carefully." "I was wrong, don't be afraid of me." In the sun-drenched ancient forest, Serafina walked gracefully ahead, with Eric quietly following behind her. Anthony, walking with him, asked softly, "Sir, are you two fighting? I think you need some special training." "Anthony, stay out of our business," Eric replied flatly. Unwilling to see Eric remain so calm after everything that had happened, Anthony frowned. That traitor wasn't wrong. We're on the verge of extinction. If we die, then she, the one blessed by the gods, won't survive either. Her blessing ability is closely tied to the survival of the dragon clan. The gods wouldn't just create one person like her. Besides, apart from your insane protection of her, what other clan would be willing to accept such an unstable existence? Hearing Anthony drone on, Eric became annoyed and let out a low growl. "Get lost." Just then, Serafina happened to turn around and call his name. "Eric?" In the capital city, crowds gathered in the main square, all chanting to welcome Jacob's appearance. "Sir Knight Captain, slay the evil dragon, slay the evil dragon. My lord, Knight Commander, you must kill him, or our family cannot continue to exist, my poor daughter." Jacob looked at this sappy display of fatherly affection and frowned in disgust. Disgusting fake nobles. Even their sorrow is fake. So before leaving, Jacob reined in his horse and bowed his head. "Your Grace, if you are concerned, you may come with us to execute the enemy yourself." It was obvious he understood Jacob's sarcasm. "You!" he hissed in anger. Jacob didn't forget to remind him, "Your Grace knows what I want. We will discuss it then. Let's move out. I will, of course, kill the dragon and replace it." Fear makes people give up things they never wanted to part with. Everything of Serafina's, her marriage contract, her identity deed and power, her status. The Duke is like this, and the Emperor of the Empire will be no different. Jacob carefully put on his helmet and asked the knight beside him, "Have you figured out a way to contact Serafina yet?" It seemed the members of the dragon clan were preparing to go somewhere. Serafina took advantage of a break to ask Eric, "Is your tooth hurting because it's growing in? I think I just heard you grinding your teeth. Some beastmen still need to file their teeth even after they're grown." Eric still hadn't mustered the courage to face her directly. "You're not mad at me anymore?" he asked cautiously. "Is it because you bit me?" she asked, her eyes wide. Her question successfully caught his attention. He looked at her for a moment, then gently stroked her cheek. "Does it still hurt? I'm sorry." Serafina stared into his deep blue eyes. "Actually, he's better at fighting than comforting people. He can't say sweet words like nobles, but sweet words are the most useless thing in the world anyway. Only the person in front of me allows me to comfortably express my emotions. His love is strange, but it truly exists." She took his warm hand and placed some carefully torn pieces of dried meat on it. "Use this dried meat to gnaw on." Just then, someone shouted, signaling the next part of their journey. Move out! Eric stood up and extended his hand to her. Give me your hand. Your hair is messy. Eric carefully set her down on the grass and went ahead to scout the path for her. Let's go. Serafina looked at him with a gentle yet surprised gaze. She suddenly asked him, Don't you want a reward? Huh? He asked, momentarily confused as to why she would ask him that. She stood there, her long hair blowing in the wind, her cheeks flushed with shyness. This is your reward for helping me with my hair. She carefully watched him from ahead, feeling immense happiness at the sight of his smile. He looked so happy. Seeing him this happy, I feel something I can't quite name. It's joy, elation. Maybe this is what it feels like to like someone? In her dream, Serafina heard someone's endless crying. Where is that whining coming from? It was the noble dog Midia used to have. Midia had doted on it, but after it accidentally bit her, she had it beaten to death on the spot. Why am I remembering this again? Suddenly, a large sword pierced through her, giving her no time to react. Maybe it's because subconsciously I feel my relationship with Eric is the same. Doted on to the extreme, but the flip side is that my life and death are in someone else's hands. The heartbreaking scene jolted her awake, her body drenched in sweat. Since coming back, I've been having more nightmares. Every time I face Eric, I can't shake the fear and confusion in my heart. It's because on the way back, I saw a group of humans gathered at the border of the Dragon Clan's territory. I gathered all my courage. Serafina tugged on Eric's sleeve and asked softly, Eric, can you spare them? Eric turned to look at her. He seemed a bit troubled by her request to break the rules. But they have defiled my territory. At that time, even though I wanted to do something for that group of humans, I was helpless. I couldn't do anything. While Serafina was still lost in thought, she accidentally made eye contact with Eric as they were walking up the stairs. The moment he saw her, he smiled and held out his hand. This is the butterfly you liked so much before. I love it, thank you. She also smiled, a gentle and affectionate one. However, her thanks didn't seem to satisfy him. He frowned. The books say that when people are in love, they don't say thank you like that. Before he could finish, he stepped up the stairs, now one step below her. He placed a light kiss on her lips. She was so nervous that her whole body trembled uncontrollably. He knew. He turned and walked back down the stairs. Are you still mad at me about those humans? I clearly tried to cheer you up with the butterfly. Go down first. She quickly followed him down. I'm human too, she said sadly. They and I. Before she could finish, he cut her off. It's not the same. You were raised by me. You're different from other humans. You belong to me. She fell silent. She couldn't refute his words because he was indeed the one who had saved her life. Just then, a voice came from a painting beside them. What's wrong? The little couple had a fight? Donna, Eric exclaimed. Serafina then looked up at the painting. Hey, that's Donna, she thought in surprise. Eric frowned in annoyance. He chided Donna for what had happened to Serafina before. You listened to Anthony and teleported Serafina, nearly getting her killed. Donna turned around and waved her hand dismissively. I know. It won't happen again. Does every painting come to life? Or is it just Lady Donna? Serafina asked Eric softly. Just her, he replied. Before Donna left for the Dragon Clan ruins, she left a part of her soul behind. The elders demanded she produce a dragon child to save the clan, but she was just a normal dragon. Her life force was drained, and she died. Serafina followed Eric as he walked away. Is he sad? She thought. Suddenly, a dragon egg jumped into her arms. Luckily, she managed to catch it. Unfortunately, the long ribbon she used to wrap around the egg accidentally fluttered in front of Eric's face. He angrily pushed the egg to the ground and yanked the ribbon off. This is the ribbon she used to braid my hair. It's the only one left. I'm going to turn this thing into a steamed egg. Serafina sat down on the floor and called his name. Eric? Look closely. It's definitely the eggshell. When a dragon egg can't hatch, the shell cracks. But it doesn't die immediately, right? What should I do? I guess I have no choice but to tell Eric the truth. Hopefully, it can still be saved. Eric, what do we do? It's probably because my black fire cracked it last time, and the shell oil leaked out. I don't want them to die because of me. Can you save them? After that, you can punish me however you want. Her words left him stunned for a moment. He suddenly lunged forward, pulling her into a run towards the bedroom. Tie her hands with chains. Lock her up. Don't let her see anyone. Don't let her talk to anyone, so she'll belong only to me. I've wanted to do this for a long time. I want to eat you. Serafina was terrified, her face pale. This time, he's really going to eat me. It makes sense, since I can't control my power. Breaking the dragon egg was my own fault. Is this really how I'm going to die? Wait, Eric, you going to eat me? Just when she didn't know what to do, someone knocked on the window. Anthony's companion peeked into the room and exclaimed excitedly, "Your Highness, the dragon egg has hatched!" A new baby dragon has been born. This is joyous news that will shake the entire dragon clan. Looking at the sleeping baby dragon, Serafina couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Wow, so cute. Then she thought with some excitement, this is the first time I've ever seen a baby dragon. You know I have to report this to the other dragon clans, Anthony said seriously. Even if we don't, the Tree of Life will eventually find out. I'll bite it to death before you get the chance to tell them, Eric replied indifferently. Hearing this, he enthusiastically painted a picture of the future. But forget about that, Eric. We finally have a new dragon. We have so many dragon eggs. We can finally continue to rule the continent. Jewels, gold, countless treasures, and humans too. You can enjoy killing to your heart's content. He didn't reply, instead turning his gaze to Serafina. They and I are the same life, she affirmed in a low voice. Then she thought with some doubt, enjoy killing? Just as Eric was about to unleash his power, she unexpectedly walked over and took his hand, pleading earnestly. Can you please stop the indiscriminate killing? Staring at his own hand, he remarked in a low voice, maybe we deserve to be cursed. Hearing this, Anthony couldn't hold back his frustration and demanded loudly, you've been too deeply influenced by her, haven't you? Don't forget the wound she gave you. And don't forget that because she burned your soul, you still haven't been able to receive the inheritance. Eric violently shoved him against the wall behind them, nearly cracking it, and grabbed him by the throat, threatening, don't forget why you follow me. One more word, and even without the inheritance, I can still kill you easily. Wanna try? Suddenly, hearing a loud noise outside, Serafina couldn't help but wonder aloud, what's going on out there? Where's Eric? Unexpectedly, someone called her name. She looked around, dazed, and quickly guessed, Jacob? About half a month later, a strange snow fell upon the ancient castle of the Dragon Clan. The dragons in the fortress decided to move to the southern territories, where the abundant geothermal heat was more suitable for dragon life. As she looked at her reflection in the clear blue water, Serafina couldn't help but wonder, that day, I think I heard Jacob's voice calling me. Was it just my imagination? Just then, someone called her name again. Seeing that the reflection in the water was no longer hers, but Jacob's, she was stunned. Jacob, why is he here? Serafina, I will definitely save you, he affirmed resolutely. Hearing this, she couldn't help but feel scared. If the other Dragon Clan members hear this, it'll be troublesome. She quickly leaned down and whispered, don't come, Jacob. Promise me, if you can't do it, don't come. Trust me, Serafina, he said calmly. Listen to me. Find a chance to create the black fire and burn Eric to death. That evening, the moment he saw her, Eric immediately suggested, Serafina, we'll have to rest here for the night. Then he suddenly frowned, thinking with concern, a magical fluctuation. She quickly turned around and asked with a smile, do you want anything to eat? I'll cook for you. He suddenly lunged forward and asked hastily, someone was here, who was it? What did he say to you? Did he tell you to run? And you? Do you still want to run away from me? No, that's not, I don't, Serafina stammered, her face pale. Then she thought with some fear, something's wrong with him. Her whole body was trembling with fear, remembering what Jacob had told her that morning. Serafina, use the black fire to burn Eric to death. She quickly squeezed her eyes shut and screamed internally, no! Seeing Serafina dare to cut a line on his face with a knife, Eric was stunned and quickly asked, do you want to kill me? After realizing what she had just done to him, she broke out in a cold sweat and stammered an explanation. Ah, no. He unexpectedly knelt down, quickly covering his face with his hands and stating painfully, you really want to kill me, Eric? She called out his name in her heart, stunned. She quickly went to his side, hugged him, and promised resolutely, I won't do that. Then she quickly added in her heart, no, I don't want you to cry. You're not running away? Eric asked with some doubt. Serafina didn't answer right away, thinking silently. Even though I still haven't figured out my own feelings, maybe it's a survival instinct, or maybe it's genuine affection. Whatever the reason, I don't want to see Eric cry. Then with tears in her eyes, she looked at him and affirmed with a faint smile, I'm not running, I like you. He stared at her, stunned for a moment, then seriously suggested, then prove it to me. Without wasting any time, she immediately leaned in and gave him a kiss. Suddenly, she felt something that surprised her. Something just slipped into my mouth. Was that Eric's tear? It tastes no different from a human's. Strange, why does my body feel so hot? Unexpectedly, a voice suddenly echoed in Eric's mind. She is ours. Take her, tear her apart, make her one of the Dragon Clan, and make her bear our offspring. As soon as the voice finished speaking, Eric suddenly coughed, lowered his head for a moment, then quickly rubbed his head and frowned, wondering, is this the inheritance? Hearing the voice demand, she is ours, take her. He immediately pulled her into his arms and growled, Get out! Get out! Serafina belongs only to me alone. Serafina's entire face suddenly flushed red, and she complained with some difficulty. Ah, this is uncomfortable. Seeing this, Eric quickly tried to stop her. Serafina, wait. Then he thought with some surprise, a memory is entering my mind. This isn't my memory. Is this how the Dragon Clan's inheritance is passed down through generations? No, if this continues, it will definitely hurt Serafina. I have to stay calm. I have to get out of here. Seeing that Eric was about to leave her, Serafina cried out in panic. Don't go, making him stop in his tracks and turn to look at her. Seeing this, she immediately asked, Are you leaving too? Why does no one like me? Did I do something wrong? Do you not like me either? Eric quickly went to her side and comforted her gently. Don't cry. I like you the most.